Oh, this guy writes. No, he doesn't even write his own headlines. He has somebody else do it. He's Mark Kiszla, who joins us now, Denver Post columnist. T minus 100 and counting to the Super Bowl, Mark?
Absolutely. So who else is going to go? Now, I'm not promising how well the Broncos do when they get to the Super Bowl. Hopefully they stay within 5 touchdowns this time. But I think they're clearly the best team in the AFC. Heck, they go to New England next. They win in New England. They could all but clinch the top seed in the AFC at the midway point of the season.
Okay, but people are now looking at Denver saying, not just this year, but they're one of the great teams of all time. We're not even halfway through this season, Mark.
Yeah, it's a little early, and far be it from me to engage in the hyperbole that everybody else does, but who's going to stop them? And Emmanuel Sanders scores 3 touchdowns last night. He's their 3rd or 4th best option in Peyton Manning's passing game. And this team needed to get better, and it did get better. DeMarcus Ware, I thought maybe was done. He looked old in Dallas, but on the opposite side of Von Miller, that's a heck of a pass rush they got there as well.
And you got to keep Talib as well. And I've said this before. Everybody thinks that you're going to win with offense. You'll win championships by having a defense. Offense can carry you the entire regular season. But there will be a moment when the Broncos are going to have to say to their defense, you need to stop somebody. It may not be all about Peyton come postseason time, but I think the defense is what's going to be on display. What do you think?
I absolutely agree. Peyton Manning cannot be the Broncos' best player each and every week, and the Broncos win the Super Bowl. Because as good as Peyton Manning is, at some point, and probably in January or the first day of February, he won't have his best game. And last year, I really thought that Peyton Manning had to be the MVP of each and every Broncos game. This season, so far, I think it can be DeMarcus Ware or Keith Talib or somebody else. And that's the way the Broncos are a better football team this year.
Can you see this parallel, Greg Maddox and Peyton Manning?
I can see that parallel. In that one's the greatest regular season pitcher of all time or of the last 50 years, and one's the greatest regular season quarterback of all time or the last 50 years. And I'm sure Greg Maddox, and I know Peyton Manning isn't fond of that moniker, but until Peyton Manning wins a Super Bowl or 2 in his time left in Denver, he's going to have to live with it. And he's heard it, and I've seen him cringe at it. But I always thought Greg Maddox wore out by October. I'm not sure Peyton Manning wears out in January, but he hasn't played his best football in the playoffs. That's true.
He's Mark Kiszla, columnist, Denver Post, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. If this team doesn't win it all this year,
this team doesn't win it all this year, you need a new coach. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Is that fair pressure on John Fox? No. Is this a fair business? No. If Peyton Manning wants to come back next year, despite losing the Super Bowl or failing to get to the Super Bowl this year, they're going to say, no, we're going to go with Brock Osweiler as our quarterback? Of course not, but they'd have to change something. John Elway didn't spend $100 million on his defense to finish second again this year. So, but I think the team and John Fox have dealt very well with the expectations so far. They lost one game, and that was to Seattle in overtime. So John Fox is doing a good job so far. He just needs to finish the deal this year.
Manning joked about being upset with the scoreboard operator. I didn't think he was joking. There was nervous laughter in the press conference. Do you think Peyton talks to the scoreboard operator at some point this week?
I think Peyton might put the scoreboard operator in the stocks in the town square and throw tomatoes at him. I mean, Peyton, man, you know Peyton as well as I do, probably better. And Peyton tends to be maybe a wee bit anal. And you're right. He was not joking. He was serious as heck. I'm sitting there in the press box, and they're doing this, video shot, show Phillip, everybody boos, show Peyton, everybody cheers. And I turned to the PR director and I said, this is the best thing you've ever done in this stadium. It's not rehearsed. It's spontaneous. And about 3 seconds after I said that, the phone rang, and I hear the PR guy go, "I agree." And he puts his hand over the phone, and he's sending the message to the scoreboard operator. I don't know who it was. It was either Mr. Manning or Mr. Ellis, the team president, does not approve of these shenanigans, so cut it out, or else we're going to turn this station wagon around and go back home.
Do you think Peyton called from the sidelines?
I don't think he did it, but I can neither confirm nor deny, and I would not put it past him. I mean, who does this guy think he is? Yo-Yo Ma? I mean, Arthur Fielder will now be directing the Boston Tops. Please hold your applause to the end of the performance. I mean, he's not Phil Mickelson trying to make an 8-footer to win the Masters, but I love Peyton for that. He can control everything, including the scoreboard operator.
Well,
I hope the guy has a good pension plan.
But, Mark, people have said that Peyton looks like the conductor of an orchestra when he's at the line of scrimmage. So he's the one that creates the music, and it's on the field, not the scoreboard operator. And do you know who the scoreboard operator is by name?
I do not, and if I did, I wouldn't tell you because I'm trying to protect his family.
Oh, come on. Maybe he's a Patriot fan.
I don't know the name. I'd give it up to you if I did. I don't know his name.
All right. Safe travels as always, Mark. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right. It's Mark Kiszla, Denver Post.